You're listening to the AfterBuzz TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith Johnson.
The AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California. Presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AfterBuzz TV's Orange is the New Black After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AfterBuzz TV's Orange is the New Black After Show.
The animals, trap, 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 the candy's fall, the candy's fall, the candy's fall. You got time.
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, AfterBuzzers. Welcome to the 8th week of Netflix original series Orange is the New Black, entitled Moscow Mule. I'm your host, Thaddeus Massey, and joining me today is...
Hi guys, welcome, Emma Kate.
What up? I'm Megan Thomas.
Hey, what's up? I'm Scott Moore.
And in the booth, the super producer, Marissa Serafini.
What's up, guys?
The one and only.
Yeah.
She's a big fan of the show as well.
Love it.
We love when she joins us. So she
I have a question.
Yes.
Is a Moscow Mule a drink?
It is. And I want one now.
Is.
I thought that because I feel like I've heard that.
Yes.
I'm not a big drinker, but Moscow
Yes.
Mule, okay.
So you're a small
Not a big
drinker.
Yeah, I'm really not.
Small drinker.
Serious. I was like,
This is very ironic because she brought that to my attention. If you guys knew, well, I should have come up with that first. I should have known that.
Yeah,
you should know that before me. That's my whole point. Anyway, yeah, but it was a great play on words, especially based on what's going on with this episode.
Yeah,
and
brilliant title.
Red.
Again.
It is. I mean, it's dope. Anyway, Gingy, you're the mom.
yes.
Moscow Mule is a vodka drink.
It is.
It's a vodka drink.
I love me
Drink
some
those,
vodka.
Marissa.
And of course, it's
It's Ukrainian or Russian?
Like it's Moscow.
I probably
Yes,
You're
we
funny.
differentiate here.
Well,
Where geographically it originated from.
before or after the fall.
Yes, right.
Of the USSR.
So we have the girls lined up in the whole little, what's that line that they're getting their
Medicine.
Medicine line.
medicine line? That is so like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, like Psych Wardish, how they do this. Everybody's like in line waiting to get their meds. It's like
Yeah, it's
kind of
depressing.
It is depressing.
Very, I'm like,
That's a
oh.
great word. It's depressing.
It was when I watched that opening scene. I'm like, oh man.
Yes, it's
Until
like
Crazy Eyes says she's got complete control over her epiglottis.
mad
It's a
control.
flap of cartilage behind your tongue, right there, back in there.
She showed us with the tongue action.
Yes.
She like pow pow. She like works it out. Like she exercises her epiglottis. It
I'd like to
seems.
see her backstory because she's not stupid.
No,
No.
she's not even say
She's
epiglottis.
I know, having me look it up. I didn't even spell
did
it right
too.
the first
I
time.
think they're saving that.
Yeah.
Oh, is this another spoiler, Emma?
No.
Well,
Prediction for season 2.
we're in season 2. Well, yes. I mean, I think we will see a little bit further of Crazy Eyes' intellect as
Right.
the episodes go on for the rest of the season. I mean, she's obviously smart. She's using words like epiglottis. I don't even think the nurse or the guard knew what the heck she
that
was
was.
talking about.
Scared of whatever
Yeah,
it is.
she's
I don't
just
care what your epiglottis
crazy.
is. It's scary.
So we see Daya throw up in line while she's waiting to get her meds.
And why does her throw up look like Sunny D? It's very bright orange. I was like, did they put an egg yolk in her mouth?
I think they just, they decided to use whatever color. As long as they didn't make it green, that means something else. She probably just threw up breakfast, I guess.
What does green mean? Gangrene in your
Eggs.
No, green? I think green might be,
green.
it might be stomach fluid.
Oh,
When it's like yellow,
Okay,
When
so
it's
you're
like
saying there was a
yellow,
whole
screen.
sign, there was a whole reason of what color they chose. Okay.
right.
But I'm like, isn't puke like pink? Why would they?
It depends on what you're
that?
eating. If you had salmon, maybe lots of eggs.
I don't know. I haven't puked in a really long time. I'm just saying. It was really like bright orange. I'm like, what is this? Tampico Tang orange? Like it's so bright orange. I don't know.
Tampico is that's so hood. That's so.
Y'all feeding the prisoners Tampico? Like what is that?
Well, since they are on budget, they're probably giving them the cheapest.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like, no, we can't afford Sunny D. You guys are gonna drink Tampico.
Yes.
Right.
No, you're gonna actually
Generic brand of
Right.
Tampico.
you're gonna drink something that just says juice on it. No flavor, it's just orange and it says juice.
Right.
Orange flavored juice.
Orange flavored juice, which is really, you know what's funny, because everybody is sick this episode, so they
Right.
all should be drinking a lot of orange juice or whatever, because
Right.
everybody's sick. And that, if you're like a germaphobe or anything, you would hate to be in a confined space with all these people who are like sick, and this person's getting sick, that person's getting sick. But Piper, being
Genius.
the smart and
Innovative
innovative
woman she
person
is.
that she is, she makes these maxi pad masks.
Which is
The maxi pad masks
It's
are so
actually
smart.
smart,
She's even
yeah.
got Miss Claudette wearing on running around with the little maxi pad mask.
Right.
It's like, hey, don't get sick. You don't want to get sick, especially. I don't think you want to get sick in prison.
I mean, but
That would
what
even be
choice
worse.
do you have? You have to sleep with these women, take a shower with them, eat with them. You really can't get away from them.
ugh.
There's no fresh air to
Shower,
cleanse it
shower
out.
together too.
Yeah.
It's like ew.
Yeah, you can't get away from it, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty bad in there. So I really liked, and I have to give Taylor Schilling some props on her Michael Jackson dance.
Yeah, her moves.
Her moves.
She had the moves there.
She did.
Yeah,
That was
Miss
funny.
Claudette. That was funny. Miss Claudette was like, I feel like Michael Jackson. And she was like, I feel like I look more like Michael Jackson. That was some good writing. That was so funny. But with everything going on, you got Diet thrown up and you got everybody being sick. And then you had the little flashback that they do of Piper and Larry when there was a pregnancy scare, like a few months before she surrenders. She surrenders herself. So then you got Maria, who's pregnant as well. That happens. She goes into labor sometime during this episode, I believe, too. So
She's in the line.
I think that's when Piper had the flashback.
No, she had the flashback like later.
Or was it before that?
Like halfway through, almost towards the end of the episode.
Okay.
But what happened is she goes to the lunchroom for breakfast and there's nobody in there because they're all sick. And that's when Healy tells her that her boyfriend wrote the article about her.
Yes.
I
That
know.
was so mean.
Yes.
It was mean. I was
It
like,
was
"Woo."
like that bully on the playground that's just
Right.
picking on the kid that can't really do anything or defend themselves.
This makes
It was, like,
Healy
really-
more of a bad guy.
Right.
And now you don't-
Preparation
And then
H.
just
And now you
pouring
don't-
Pours the coffee on top
over
just to
it.
add the salt to the wound there. Just,
What a jerk move.
What I did
Yeah.
love, though, was how Healy gave an explanation about how more and more studies have found that increased amounts of coffee consumption, like, tears up the stomach lining.
Yeah.
I'm trying to cut back.
Yeah.
And then he pours the
Pours it
coffee.
out. Oh,
mean.
such a jerk move.
I was
yeah.
like, wow. And then she goes in the trash can. Like, why wouldn't they let her go in the trash can?
I thought that was interesting too. Like, what was the
I was like-
reasoning why they wouldn't let her go? I thought the same thing.
Yeah, I was like,
They just don't want her to take
Dumpster
time
Take it out
out.
of the trash.
Hey, if you want to be a dumpster diver, go ahead.
Yeah, right.
Yourself.
We're trying to get more food or something.
Well, what's
Yeah,
wrong with
I don't know.
that?
I just-
if you want to eat somebody's scraps.
Right? I thought it was odd too that they were controlling that much to where they're like, don't go in the trash.
Right.
Like, if you want to reduce the world's carbon footprint and you want to
I
eat the
guess-
trash, then eat it.
The only
Just
thing,
making a mess, maybe.
maybe. But also, yeah, that's actually unsanitary as well. Somebody digging into the trash, especially everybody's sick already. But maybe she saw the whole thing and was like, well, obviously he didn't want you to have whatever it was.
Right.
So, no, you can't have it kind of thing. That's what I took it as. Because it didn't
That
make, I
makes
said the
sense,
only
yeah.
thing that
Yeah.
would make sense is that obviously Healy was like, no, I don't want you reading this paper. So
Yeah.
I'm going to throw it away.
Right.
Which was really mean and cruel. I want to talk about Larry because Larry in this situation, we haven't discussed him a whole lot, but him writing this paper, this article about his predicament with Piper being locked up. Do you think that he's being a little too like
Emotional, like a girl.
well, go ahead, Emma. Tell us how you really feel.
Wow.
Well, where do I begin?
I mean, go ahead. No, that's what I want to talk about. Like, I want to discuss like this Larry thing and how he's handling Piper being locked up. If he is he taking too much? I mean, to have your significant other in prison can obviously is not. You're suffering as well too. He's obviously going through whatever But is it? There has to be some give and take with her being empathetic to his situation and him being empathetic to her. At the same time, she is the one that's locked up. He isn't.
Right.
But I'm sure a part of him feels like he's locked up and he can't, even with this whole conversation he had with the bartender at the bar. Yeah. So he's like checking her out and looking at her. I mean, obviously he's backed up. So he's checking the chicks out, checking out the bartender and like, she's kind of cute and blah, 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 blah. And he even kind of blames Piper for him being in the situation where he would even have to look at another woman.
Which is
because
yes.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and
so
I'm
how
like,
do you
proposed to her. You wanted to marry her before she went in. You could have waited. You could have waited until she was out and then decided if that's what you really want to do. So you did something and now you're backing off from your word because it's too hard for you
But you think it's
to
gonna
be in a
cake
bar,
right?
And be like that man who makes I don't know how much money.
Right. She's like, he makes what, 75 million?
He's worth
He
75
tips
million.
well.
Yes, and he tips well. Like, how can you be mad at that? You're the woman that you supposedly love so much and that you asked to be your wife. You're mad because now you can't have sex with a bartender?
I mean, he can have sex with a bartender.
That's what I'm saying. So if you want to do that, then go do that. That's your fault because you asked this woman to marry you. Even she was like, "Are you serious?"
Wait.
Hold on. But she did say that when he did propose her, she was like, "Are you sure? Like, are you serious?" You could have backed out then and said, "You know what? You're right. Let's wait."
Well, here's the thing. I don't really believe, for me, I don't believe that him proposing or not proposing would have changed his emotional state or how he felt about her. So either way, they were already in an exclusive relationship. Them being together, they were
they're already like living together.
They're already living together. They're together.
True.
Yeah.
So whether or not he really proposed, I don't think that makes it.
But I think it makes it a little worse.
I don't think it makes it worse
because it's one step away. Because
I think he still loves her regardless. I don't think he because he got engaged to her that he loves her so much more.
Well, I mean, when you're willing to take, because what you're essentially saying when you ask someone to marry you is that I do want to spend the rest of my life with you. Now, if that happens or not, there's a difference. But you're essentially saying, I want you to be my wife. I will no longer be out here with these other women. I am making a final decision that says you are my wife. And if you're going to do that, then you have to understand that there's a lot of stuff that comes with it. And if you're not sure, like in this situation, I really think he should have just pumped the brakes and said, you know what? Let's wait.
Okay, well, let's say he. Go ahead, Scott.
No, but I was going to say, I think what he's going through is a completely normal reaction as well, regardless of what was going on. And I'm sure he didn't think about it when he wanted to propose to her to begin with about how he was going to be feeling and how he's going to be through this time because he's never experienced that before. But I feel like they're doing a very good job of making it realistic of what he would be experiencing. Yeah, and it would be tough for him, and they're showing that.
Right.
Which is normal, anyone would feel the way that he does, but I don't think it's so fair to put all of the, the guilt and the fall on Piper because she has it worse. She's in there. She can't continue on with her life while he can, and he's sitting there and complaining to a bartender who he doesn't even know how his life sucks because he's out here and his fiance is in jail. So it's a little, like man up.
And I think when we see him at his party, that is, I feel at that moment, I feel like he really does love Piper and he really is feeling the effects because now you got people asking for your Facebook page, you're an overnight celebrity, and all these people are so happy that you for your success, but you're still kind of feeling like, man, the person that I would love to share this with is not here. Yeah. So still kind of feel bad about it, you know.
So, it's a normal reaction, and I think he would feel that way. And then so he's kind of trying to deal with those emotions and being out there with the bartender and then having the party, and those are just kind of he's trying to work through this.
Well, do you think he's feeling some kind of level of guilt? Because it's not the fact that he just wrote a piece and he had a successful article or a successful, step forward in his career. It's the fact that he used Piper as the launch pad for that. Right. She was the subject matter of which helped him propel forward. And he's getting this attention and whatever, blah, blah, blah. So you think that might be some of the guilt that he's having? Not so much that, of course, you want the people that you love and the people that are closest to you to enjoy those special moments, but she was kind of like the platform that catapulted this.
And on top of that, do you remember in the last few episodes when he went to go see her, he asked her if, he basically told her about it and gave her some time to think about it. We never see her actually say yes, that she's okay with him writing the article.
Right.
So maybe that's what some of the guilt, because it's like, okay, I wrote it already.
Right.
And okay.
Well, I feel this episode really showed again that kind of that gulf between them right now on both sides. And as we kind of went all the way back to the episode 1, it's like I felt like you could see it just widening more in this episode between them.
I feel like personally it was a punk move. That's what I would call a punk move. You have a relationship that you really care about. You're in love with this woman, and you propose. She's gonna be locked up for a significant, significant when you're in a relationship amount of time, and because you're not having the kind of momentum in your career that you want to have, you're going to use her as a topic.
You're exploiting her. Basically, you're exploiting that
was
situation.
really whack. I just thought it was whack. Like, out of all the things you can come up with to write about, you're going to use her
clearly
personal
edging wasn't working.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, wow, you're going to use, that's all you can come up with, edging?
Apparently so.
Like, that's really like...
Well, that's why, I think he wasn't necessarily a good writer, and this ended up coming as an opportunity. The editor said, you should write about this, and he thought, okay, I guess I will.
But
so you think,
it really shows how much influence Piper really has in his life, and really making him and pushing him to grow and move forward. Because from what we see, he's like the mama's boy. He's so
dependent on his,
exactly dependent on his family and his parents, and he really doesn't have anyone else. So again, it shows that Piper is the one that saves the day.
No, you're right, because he didn't seem to have a ton of friends there. It was like Polly and her husband and everything. It was like basically a lot of their... I mean, he does talk about that. Oh, the couples all having their friends, and he does make reference to that at one point. Saying it was weird for him to be out alone. And so, again, it was more of that...
So it was his success, but really it was Piper's.
Well, yeah, because it came from her situation that he basically exploited.
And he tells her that everybody wants to meet her now. Like, we want to see her. We want to talk to her. We want to meet her.
And I think that's whack, too. It's
Why is that whack?
Because everybody wants to meet your fiance who's locked up, and, like... it's like she's not people. She never. Her mom has already lied to all her friends about where she is. They come from a society or a social bubble that's not necessarily what you want to put out there. That you're like, oh, my fiance, this is what's going on because my fiance is locked up for a crime that she committed 10 years ago, or whatever. Blah blah blah. That's
all about appearances.
Yeah, it is a little more. It's like,
which I think, but I like that fact because I think that instead of hiding it and doing what a good waspy kid would do, he kind of bumped the norm and said, I'm going to put all of this business out in the open, this ugly business, and let people know what the truth is because this is my life, this is real, even though it involves somebody else's life as well. I like that he put that out there, and I think it made her feel a little special because now people are like, oh, we want to meet you. Like, you sound so wonderful. He must have written a very, really good piece and said a lot of wonderful things about her.
Well, I don't think that she was very happy about it.
No,
I don't think.
She says that, yeah. She says that she doesn't feel like it was a good depiction of who she was.
I don't think she's completely happy with the fact that he even
wrote the piece.
Wrote the piece, yeah,
Period.
I agree.
Because he doesn't really have anything to lose. What does he have? And, we see it in the prior episodes where Piper's friend even mentions, like, you don't pay rent.
Right.
So Piper
Polly
has a deal with, with her company and big lines, and you're putting her name out there, not even realizing how it could really hurt the brand.
Right.
People don't know she's in jail. She's making a 3-way call to get on a conference call to sell her.
No, she's chasing chickens. We already went through this.
She attempted to make a call.
Right.
So I think he's selfish.
And I agree with you, and I think it also, in a way, like going back on him, he does say about him being selfish, and he does talk about that, but I also think, in a way, you said he has nothing to lose, because not only that, but he gets the sympathy from people, too, like, oh, poor you, your fiance is in prison, and the outside world, and he gets the accolades, everyone seeing him in the New York Times and the article there, so.
I think he's not ready to be in this relationship.
I think
and we
so,
see
too.
it towards the end of the episode where it's revealed that he's not ready. Because if you were, and you really had the mindset that when she gets out, I'm going to marry her, and this is the woman I'm going to marry, and it's a commitment, he wouldn't be acting like he is.
Well, and he says that, and I think he's trying to come to terms with that whole selfish side. He's like, am I being selfish? I know I'm grateful and everything,
it's a little bit
but
like childish and selfish.
He's a 34-year-old that stays with his parents. I mean, I guess, what'd you expect,
He's the best soup eater in the world.
And at least he was sober enough to drive Polly to the hospital,
Right?
To make sure she was okay.
That's I was thinking that too, because he's basically too wasted to do that.
Right. That's funny.
How do you think Piper handled it when she told him that, Polly sent out an Evite? And it was kind of like, wait, what? Wait, it went from Polly and Pete are gonna take me out for drinks, just to celebrate.
And now
like she's thinking in her mind, she's thinking like, oh, my friends, it's gonna be the three of them. They're gonna go have a couple drinks together. Cool. Yeah, she sent the Evite. Wait. Evite.
Right.
Evite
That's
means
a party.
That changes the status of an event.
Because if it was just them, he would have just got a text on his phone. It would have been about it, not an Evite. So now she was like dealing with that right there. You could see in her face the anguish of this situation.
Oh, yeah.
I felt so like bad for her, like on so many different levels.
It's a catch-22 because like you want to reveal stuff to her as her family and her friends. Like you don't want her to feel left out and feel like there's nothing out in the open for her to hope for. But at the same time, the more you reveal, the more she does feel left out.
She is left out, exactly.
When she's like, "Tell me everything. What was it like?" And she's now feeling like a bad person because she said, "I'm not there for my best friend's having her baby. My fiance wrote this article. I'm not there to celebrate." So it's kind of a catch-22.
Yeah.
Where do you draw the line with what you can tell her and what you shouldn't tell her?
I know, and that is horrible. Like I really did feel for her in this episode because it was such anguish as she deal with missing those two really hugely important things and her very close people in her life, that she's missing out on, and you can't ever get that kind of stuff back in that sense. So
yeah, especially if you're my buddy. Are you my buddy?
Of course.
Well, then where should we go? Where should we go online?
I don't know.
Probably cerealbuddies.com, right?
I think so. No, I was trying to think. I'm like,
for what? Where should we go to cerealbuddies.com?
I was going to say iTunes, but I forgot that we're doing Cereal Buddies first.
Cereal Buddies. Make sure you go
nice save, Scott. Nice save.
No, I did.
Adventures of Cereal Buddies on cerealbuddies.com. Or you can go to iTunes and search Adventures of Cereal Buddies because your download of this movie
SERIAL.
Yes.
And it's $4.99 to rent and only $1 more to own.
So own it. So you can help us here at AfterBuzz TV, and that keeps us ad-free, buffering-free, all that stuff. And it's a really hilarious movie, so make sure you get it.
It is really funny.
It's a perfect summer movie.
It is a perfect summer movie.
Is.
And also, if you guys want to put in your 2 cents here, you guys can give us a call, 424-256-1729, 424-256-1729. Okay, so going into Piper cozying up to Alex with her tool belt, no pun intended, and trying to fix the dryer in the laundry room with this little tug of war they have kind of going on.
But hold on, before that, when Nikki has the tool belt on, I think it's so hilarious because her exchange with Alex.
That was great.
It was really funny. I don't know. I don't know if they would get together. I feel like
they've kind of become
buddies.
Like friends. This is what I'm saying, like not relationship buddies,
not
like
cereal buddies, but buddies.
Yes, not quite.
Friend buddies.
I think it's more of a natural bond than her and Piper do. Like they have it just
a lot in common.
Yeah, it's just natural.
You're right. It always feels a little more stilted in a way. It's kind of almost an awkwardness there between her and Alex.
I mean, if you think about it, if she even told Alex, Alex told Piper when she was trapped in the dryer that
Don't leave.
We were never friends. I loved making love to you or having sex with you, whatever she said. She, wanted to be with her from jump. It wasn't like a friendship that developed.
Yeah.
And then they became lovers. It was like immediate attraction. Her and Nikki are kind of like more cut from the same cloth, like two like really organic, naturally organic friends. Anyway, so we will see how that develops with Nikki and and Alex. But Nikki gets pulled away because what's
situation with Trisha.
What's the girl's name? The one that never talks, and she's like throwing coconut chips. No,
is it
the one that takes care of
what's her name?
The one that works with Red. Her name.
What's her name, Marissa?
Mercy, our name?
I forget, but
the silent lady.
The silent lady.
The
one that always takes care of Red and is like right next to Red at all times.
An N or an H?
An M, I think. It starts with an M.
We'll get it.
I know, and that's starting to be crazy.
Miss Quiet Lady, who's afraid of washing machines?
The spin cycle.
Spin cycle, yeah.
What has this lady been through?
It's like a death fear. I don't know. She never says anything. It's really weird. But
She's like, it can't be that big a deal. She didn't throw the coconut ones at me.
she's all the way at the door.
I'll be right back.
So Nikki goes to talk to Red about the scenario or the situation that's going on with Trisha and her, I guess her withdrawal situation, because she's obviously been using, and Caputo has this thing going where he's really putting pressure on Red to do his bidding.
Was this the scene where he was Caputo's talking to Pornstache about the mustaches? Was this scene, right? When he talks about that and then
how they're like,
they're both.
That was really funny.
With mustaches?
Yeah. Because they started off talking about Caputo. He initially started talking to him about the drug thing, right?
Right. Yeah.
Because he's trying to have him find out what's going on. Was really ironic because he's the one. This goes back to show how he's really not fit to be a warden because it's happening right under his nose and he can't see.
I think he has an idea though that it might be Pornstache.
I don't think he does.
so.
I don't know because of the way he comes off. He's just like, well, somebody's doing this. I don't know. I feel like he did. He has an idea.
I think obviously he doesn't think that Pornstache is doing it. You know why? Because he feels that Pornstache is cool enough for him to have to ask him, is the stash cool? So obviously he probably looks at Pornstache like he's a younger, cooler guy.
But
is there some new trend going on where
mustaches when you're gay?
So obviously he's giving him a referral from him and then after Pornstache tells him, no, it's smashing, we're smashing, you know what? No, it's completely manly. Then Caputo feels reassured. He's like, yeah, okay, cool, yeah.
No. I think he's talking to him because the other officers are new. So
and he doesn't like Healy, so you couldn't tell Healy.
Exactly. Yeah. So Pornstache is the one that's been there the longest and that knows everyone. And plus that Caputo has a relationship with and can ask him questions.
Right. And I took it as he told Caputo for that reason, and also because I feel like he knows who else has been there long enough that we know of at this point, besides the redhead officer and the African-American officer that was at the gate. Who else has been there that would know how to pull in drugs? Who's been there 10? They say Trisha's been she's been behind bars for 10 months. So who else has been there for the last 10 months that would know how to work the system in order to bring drugs in? That's why I said I think he has some clue. It might be Caputo. I mean, not Caputo, but Pornstache. But he doesn't really care as long as it's taken care of. As long as it's fixed. He's like, look, because if there's questions that are being asked, they're coming for me. They're gunning for me.
Right.
So basically fix it,
Right. I like how this situation with Pornstache is shown a lot about Red, and it was a great segue for Red's backstory and how Red came to be who she is, and dealing with the mob and her journey throughout that situation into jail. It kind of makes me wonder, even though they showed when she came to prison all the way from where she started with her husband in the little restaurant or cafe or whatever. Is she in jail because she was put in jail, or is she in jail because she got put in jail?
She took the fall.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, it seems like it's all because, remember, she was explaining to the mob boss about you need to think bigger. You need to go to hospital
my prediction. Kidding.
Yeah, right.
Yes, you guys made fun of me. That was my prediction for season 2.
What?
About Red.
Oh, that's
being
right.
In there.
That's right. That was
true,
her. That is her prediction for season 2.
High five. There we go.
These two. So obviously she is shown that she is of some value because everybody else was laughing. Like, I guess her husband Dimitri was like, and
just kind of discounted her.
But the boss was like, he listened. He obviously was listening, and it was kind of like, okay, she has a point, because if they get these government contracts, then they could actually start doing whatever that they were doing on a grand scale.
Yeah, on their set. They got the stable, like she was saying, the stability, and she talked about the whole thing with her dad, selling the candy, and
that was a great story, by the way.
Yeah.
And anybody with half a brain would be like, okay, this is a smart cookie right here.
She took a seat at the men's table. Her husband got up.
And she emasculated her husband in the process.
I think he emasculates himself.
I don't know, but I'm saying even as a good Russian wife, I think that's one of the things that you don't do in front of other men. You shouldn't take the place of your husband. Even though you have a brain and you're smart, you still have to, even in the scene where she tells him the story about her father and the candy business, they still ask her to go get something to sweet. He asked her to get something to sweeten his drink.
Yeah, for the coffee.
Yeah, and she's like, okay, yes. And that to me is like, okay, that's the role that you play. But by you sitting at the table and you really emasculated your husband, because now you guys are telling him to go get something.
Here's the thing. I can't say that she emasculated him because obviously, remember, this guy is still the boss. And her husband wasn't there. So he was obviously off doing whatever. So
in those deliveries, when he came back in, that's what you're assuming.
You're right.
When he came in, but I did think the same thing you were saying. Like when I saw her at the table, I'm like, oh wow, she's sitting at the table.
And she didn't get up. That's the thing.
Well,
when he came in, she should have got up, and so he could sit down.
Well, I think that goes back to the prior episodes where you remember how she hit the boss mop wife, the tip punch, and her husband didn't do anything.
Well, what could he do?
Well, then suck it up. If you didn't do anything, then let her sit at the table, and she's making deals with the big boys.
Right. And obviously, he invited her to sit down, probably.
Yeah.
He's the boss. She's going to show respect. She's always played her role. And obviously, she's not going to be sitting there unless he wants her sitting there and to talk. So
I know, but you don't do it to your husband.
But she's not. To me, I don't take it like she was doing it. Like the boss is there, and he's probably like, "Sit down. I want to talk to you."
And
what were you
that's
talking
what I get.
about?
What I'm saying is, when her husband came, there should have been, because this is what you do as a woman when you don't, when you're in the presence of other men. You've just shown them where the respect lies for your own husband. Because now, when he came in, she should have got up quickly and said, "Honey, there you go. Have a seat."
I understand what you're saying.
So that's the problem I had.
But they're in the mafia.
That's what I'm saying.
So whatever, if the boss is there, whatever the boss is saying is what everybody's gonna do.
I'm just saying.
In the mafia, in a mafia setting,
she should have let her husband have that little piece of respect. I think the reason that she's in jail, he could have.
I don't think she's in that position. She wasn't in that position. I think the boss is calling the shots. If he says blah blah blah, that supersedes her and him being those roles.
I know, but I'm saying, I get that. I get why she had to sit there and talk to the boss. That part is not what I'm saying. I'm saying once your husband got there, even if he was in mid conversation, just to show like, oh well, let me get up. And then if the boss said, okay, no, you sit down, I need to talk to you, then I get that. But she didn't even move. She was just like, and the way she looked at her husband was kind of like,
that was the emasculation.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It was that look. The look.
It was her actions and look. She was just kind of like, what's up? Like, go get us our stuff. Like, whoa, Red, you're a boss now. Okay.
Megan is an instigator.
Speaks the truth.
I think she had been waiting a long time to do that.
Right.
Absolutely.
I don't think her husband feels the masculine and the husband role that he should, and she's always had to
be more aggressive. Yeah.
No, I think kind of playing the background, but now she had the opportunity to step forward, and she's like, I'm gonna take this light and shine. So
she's fiery. That Red.
How do you guys feel about? And this is for you guys as well. If you guys want to call in 424-256-1729, 424-256-1729. My question is, how do you feel about Red? How she's handling this situation? Because with Porn Stash, it seems as if she's cleaning house, so to speak. Like
she has to.
She's cutting Trisha off, and did she cut Nikki off too? Like her and Nikki, like
no, she threatens basic. Well, I guess Nikki cuts herself off.
It's like she uses Nikki to cut Trisha off.
Right.
When it seems as if she's not sure, because remember, Nikki was a junkie as well. She doesn't know, even though she knows Porn Stash is a part of it, she doesn't know if Nikki is. It's just like what she's trying to do for the big picture. Nikki might just be collateral damage.
Right.
Well, yes and no, but I think
it's like putting a hit on somebody and then knocking off the hitman too, so you have no traces. It's kind of like one of those kind of things.
But I think what she was doing with Nikki was more of like a wake up call. Like, look, in the event you are still using, just know that you could get let go just like Trisha was. You'll be just like Trisha. So I think she was using, because she could have done that very differently. She could have gone to send somebody else to go talk to Trisha. She could have gone herself.
Yeah.
But I think she was doing that to scare Nikki. Like, look, if Trisha's on this stuff,
especially
you may possibly on this stuff.
Right.
So you go and see the damage that it caused when you have to tell her that she has to confess on herself. And then once that happens, of course, that it hits a spot for Nikki. And I don't think Red was I think Red does really care for Nikki in the sense of, I helped this girl through some stuff. She's hurting. I'm like her mom in here, and she's got a mob mentality.
Right.
It's a family. It's a family, you know? But when Nikki's like, I don't need you, she's like, okay, well, then you made your bed and you lie in it. Get out.
Right.
You know? Do
2
your thing.
strikes because Russians don't play baseball.
That was great.
They did that.
It's two strikes, not 3.
2
Right.
strikes.
We're not doing baseball. That was
Right.
great.
That was a great line.
I'll mess around.
So what's gonna happen to Trisha? They're gonna send her down the hill to maximum security.
Is that what
Right?
it is? Or is
Yeah.
it shoe?
She needs.
Well, there's a one of two things.
Check.
She either goes to shoe or goes down the hill, and they mentioned sending her down the hill.
Okay.
And which
Okay.
is the maximum security prison is down the hill. They're
right, yeah.
they're minimum security. So that's why she's saying she wouldn't survive there, because obviously that's where the hardcore criminals are, down the hill. The
Well,
which
I
is
mean,
bad
she's
enough.
gone. And then
Yeah.
Mrs. Silent gets put in that new bed, in Trish's old bed.
Yeah.
Mrs. Silent.
I was seeing the Nikki's face and how much she was hurting,
Right.
telling Trish that she has to go turn herself in.
Yeah.
But I was surprised she even did it.
Right.
I would have told.
Trisha.
I didn't think she was.
I would have told. No, I would have told Red to go and do it yourself. You
That's
know?
what I'm saying. I didn't think she was actually going to go tell Trisha.
I mean, what do you?
I was gonna say, what were her choices at that
Yeah,
point?
like what can she do?
Yeah.
I mean, look what ends up happening anyway.
Yeah, but I'm just saying.
She falls out with so at least in this instance, she could have at least, you were gonna fall out with Red anyway, and if you were gonna do that to your friend, you should have just stuck with your guns, which was okay. Well, I'm just gonna have to suck it up and let Red treat me the way she treats me. I done already sold my friend out. So now you sold your friend out, and you no longer have the quote unquote protection of Red. Kind of sucks.
Yeah, it does.
Okay, this war between Porn Stash and Red is heating up, and it's really going to be interesting to see how this ends up. I think it's definitely going to go into season 2. This war between the two of them, because and Porn Stash is in over his head and he doesn't know it. He's, I think for me, he's a little machismo. Obviously, I mean, we know he's machismo, but how he's dealing with Red, I mean, he's not playing his cards right. I think he's more just, I need what I need kind of thing. But if she knows this woman has the power to smuggle things in, there's a question of whether or not, we don't even know. I mean, if it came up to us, I'm sure that the writer, something has to do with the backstory of is she even in there because she's supposed to be in there, or she took the fall so she can run stuff.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, but she's anti-drugs at the same time, but that doesn't mean there's not other goods that aren't valuable besides drugs. So what are we,
I mean, I don't
looking
think
at here?
I don't think
Porn
she's
Stash
in there though because she's trying to run stuff. I think she's in there because she legitimately either got caught or she is taking the fall. And I think taking the fall is a little more likely of the reason why she's in there. But what I was gonna say is I think that they are. Porn Stash he's stupid, but he's not stupid. Like I think he's just a a-hole that people don't like, but he's not stupid. And I think it's really sad though how he goes about trying to figure out how Red gets her goods,
Right.
especially like taking Morello out into the middle of nowhere, which was
Right.
it made me
that was
it made
Creepy.
me
It made me feel
right, it made me
uncomfortable
feel
with that.
gross.
Yeah.
That this woman is nearly in tears and she legitimately tells you that she doesn't know.
She was scared.
Right.
And she had a right to be scared.
Yeah.
The funny thing about Porn Stash, when he gets serious, you can take him a little more seriously. When he's just being a perv and being an idiot,
yeah.
you're like, this dude's such a cornball. But when he puts the squeeze on and he's actually doing his thing where he's actually like has an agenda, okay, I need this such taken care of, you kind of take him a little more seriously.
Yeah, and he does kind of creep you out too, like
Yeah.
doing those type of things. They're like, oh,
And he always comes off a little bit smarter than he seems when he's just being cornball Porn Stash. When he has an agenda or he's doing something, it's like you have to take him kind of seriously.
Right.
Kind of weird. It's like there's two sides to
I
this
don't know. I
guy.
got a real pedophile feel for him when he was.
I did
like,
too.
oh.
That's what I'm saying. I felt uncomfortable because it was
Right.
just, it was gross.
Right. So then, of
Taking her
course,
out.
yeah. And then the other flip side is that Pennsatucky locks Alex in the dryer.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Which,
Pennsatucky and
Yeah.
her messed
She's
up grill,
crazy.
her crazy teeth.
Yeah.
and what kind of washing machine or dryer locks when you like completely.
I know.
That's like
I think there'd be like it is,
Really?
but it was
Yeah.
that, but it completely locks like that. Like you can't open it.
It's like
That's
old school.
creepy.
Yeah.
So it locks the stuff in because you see how big the door is and stuff.
Yeah.
So when it's going around, the door doesn't.
I don't. I feel like you should be able to kick it.
I know,
and
but I
then
would think you'd
it'll-
be able to open it from outside though.
Right, the handle.
Well, you can. I think there's like a button that because I think it's
that
like
so the
locks
thing is that it was
to keep-
broken.
Okay.
yeah, it was broken.
That's true.
That was the
And
whole
She was
issue.
trying to fix
I think
it.
it's like a heavy duty latch / magnet type of thing.
Gotcha.
I mean, I think they use those in like some of the big hotels.
Yeah, because you're right. You don't want to just open it in the middle like you would at home because
Right.
it's gonna be like flying out at you.
Right.
Yeah. That was
I think
huge.
hospitals use those too. Hospitals and
yeah.
hotels, they use those really big dryers and washing machines too.
Yeah, that freaked me out though, because that gave me that whole like claustrophobia, feeling like you're getting stuck in this
Right.
thing in there. Ugh, that was
Piper's had an opportunity to step up, like, that whole thing, interaction between her and Alex when she was locked in. She was like, "Don't you leave me." I'm gonna go get somebody, and she says, "You always do this," and she says, "If you would have never gotten in there to begin with, blah blah blah." It was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this. Oh, she is such the pass the buck, never take responsibility for anything individual.
Right.
It's like, I think she's getting opportunities to mature as a person. Obviously, they still get in trouble, but at least she stuck through it with Alex this time, which is probably what she should have done with Alex before. Even though they were going, breaking up or whatever,
Right.
Alex needed her at a time,
Yeah.
and she abandoned her, which was really kind of screwed up.
But
It
she's
was.
stepping up. I think now she sees the error of her ways and she's trying.
But I think she doesn't like being with Alex, or it's intimidating for her because Alex doesn't give it to her, easy. It's
Right.
not all sunny and nice, which Larry does. Larry never tells her her faults, but Alex puts her on the spot and tells her to own up to her mistakes and her decisions. And it's intimidating for Piper to hear that because she's Miss Perfect. You can't tell her she's doing anything wrong.
Yeah, she's living in La La Land, this girl. But
She
I think
That's why they end up holding hands.
all right, being in prison helps.
The
It's
end.
helping her. This is probably like boot camp for her. Like, this is the best experience of her life to help her become a woman. I think she's still like a little girl, to certain, like adolescent. I don't want to say little girl, but like she has adolescent ways.
Right.
yeah. She's never had to really
See what you
figure
did,
those
Larry?
things out. But I do
Right.
see again with that gulf widening again between her and Larry again. It's just more of now she is kind of going back with Alex in a kind of in a different way. They're kind of
And
starting over in that relationship now, and it's growing closer.
do you think it would have happened if he didn't write the story and if he hadn't told her life in a way that
I think
I don't think it would have happened as quickly as it is, because again, we're going back to those previous episodes where she was feeling that guilt now, thinking, oh, she didn't,
and I think
implicate me.
I actually think it was because he told her that Alex didn't name her.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. If it wasn't
So I
for
don't think
that,
it's necessarily the actual. I think she just feels a little more insecure because of the article.
Yes,
but I
she's-
think it's really because she feels remorse that she was so mean to someone who didn't do
Exactly.
anything wrong to her.
exactly
And
what
that's
she
what they did.
Yes, I agree.
I think Piper feels like everyone's trying to cover up her life and the fact that she was in a relationship with a woman, and people are trying to put that in the past, and it is a part of her life that is never going to go away. And now she's in
Right. And she
jail
says
with
that, yeah.
someone that she used to be in love with. It wasn't just someone she was with. She used to be in love with
Yeah.
her. So you're telling a story about her and putting it in a newspaper, and she's like, that's not my life. That's not who I am.
Right.
So I feel like now she's like trying to find or proving
Yeah.
that that's not me.
Right.
This is me.
Yes, and I think
This is
that
the
did,
reality.
That did, speed that up perhaps. But I think the catalyst was going back to Larry being able to
Well, we
say,
said that,
yeah,
he's
and now she's able to
idiot.
have that closeness.
Right.
for lying to her.
Absolutely,
lying to her.
absolutely.
Yes.
That was a totally dumb move.
Larry the liar, lying Larry.
Right. We got a couple more things. Tasty
Yeah.
is getting out. She says
Tasty's
that.
getting out.
So
and
good for her.
Yeah,
That's scary for me to see what's going to happen with Tasty once she gets out. And what's the other thing?
again, like we talked about last episode, there's definitely a fear there of her getting out.
Yeah.
and that was even more clearly shown in this episode as well.
Is she
The
equipped?
bond, I was like tearing up seeing Poussey run
Right.
after her and trying to, she didn't say bye.
Hold on, what?
Say is French.
Hold on, what? Is this another spoiler?
I know, right?
Emma!
I know. I was thinking there again. I'm like, what?
Spoiler alert.
Sorry, guys.
And then Daya's mama said Daya's mama's being nice to her because she thinks she's pregnant.
It looks like Daya might be pregnant. It looks like.
Okay, that was a
No.
big. Okay, and also, what happens to Maria's baby? Where does the baby go?
It goes
To the
foster care.
family, probably to her family, or
her
if she doesn't have
family?
any, to like a foster home or
The
Because I was
state-
thinking, like, yeah, because I wanted to know where the baby goes to.
Yeah, and she's like, yeah, that's
either the family or foster care.
and poor her. She doesn't get a
So-
chance. She doesn't get time to bond with her baby.
I know. That's why I said
It's-
that was horrible too.
it's
And then
not
you see
what
the
she
flip
says.
side. You see the flip side with Polly getting to bond with her baby.
Right.
It's so sad.
Right. It does
Yeah,
suck.
I did. It was awful.
Okay, so let's segue that into predictions real quick.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
I don't think Daya is pregnant.
Okay.
Like she has a flu.
Scott.
That's a good one. I kind of like the fact of her being pregnant because it was such a shattering
Dun, dun, dun.
big thing. Yeah, like and at the very end of that episode, I really like that, and also kind of answers a few questions if that's true. Mm-hmm. Also, I'm very curious, and we didn't really get to go into the whole vegetable people thing with the produce thing. So obviously that's Red's.
yeah.
That's
Connect.
Red's company or Red's connection, so I want to know more about that. So obviously that's playing a much bigger role than.
Oh yes, I
realize.
think Porn Stash is gonna buy his way into the Neptune.
Yes, because the
It's all
Neptune
about
business
money.
is part of her thing, and I'm loving that.
Like he's
That's her
gonna
way.
say, "Give me my stuff too, and I'll pay you."
Right.
Yeah, that's her
That'll be interesting.
stable government contract right
That'll
there.
be interesting to see. Okay, well, until week 9, we'll find out what's going on next week. Where can we find you guys?
You can always find me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram at Meg Scoop, like scoop of ice cream. And you can go to cerealbuddies.com to download Adventures of Cereal Buddies.
That's right, and you can find me on Twitter, sman80. That's SMAN80.
You guys find me on Twitter and Instagram at Real Emma K.
And you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Club Thaddeus, CLUBTHADDE US. Until next time, After Buzzers.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.